Hello and welcome to this first lecture on continuous improvement in this course, Master in Business Analysis. So in this lecture, we will start talking about how to monitor key performance indicators, gather use feedback from users, and recommend enhancements or updates in the existing system and processes to get the best performance and achieve your strategic objective. So let's take a look at in-depth view at how to drive this continuous improvement initiatives within the organization as a business analyst. So how do you think you can drive continuous improvement initiatives within the organization? Any thoughts? And specifically, how would you drive the first step of monitoring key performance indicators? So the task of monitoring key performance indicator requires you to do few things. First, you need to identify the relevant KPIs, the key performance indicators. Then you set up the monitoring tools, and then you keep reporting regularly. So these are the three broad steps that you need to take in a simple way, but very effective way. Let us look at each of these steps in more detail. So how do you think you can identify the relevant KPIs for you to monitor performance? Any thoughts? So you need to determine the KPIs that align with your strategic objectives. Examples include like user engagement matrices like active users, session duration, operational matrices like system uptime, error rates, financial matrices like revenue growth, cost savings, and performance matrices like page load time, transaction speed, etc. etc. Now, the question is, how do you identify these KPIs, right? So, let's take a look at how to determine these KPIs. So, how do you think you can determine these KPIs that align with your strategic objective? And we talked about four categories of them here. So how would you determine this as a process? So this requires you to take a structured approach, and that can help you identify the matrices that will, when you track them, they will measure progress against your business goals. So let's take a look at the step-by-step approach to determine these KPIs. So first you need to do is to understand your strategic objectives. There you need to clearly define your strategic objectives, and these might include things like increasing revenue, improving customer satisfaction, expanding market share, or enhancing operational efficiencies. So that is the first thing that you do. Then you need to ensure that these objectives are aligned with the overall mission and vision of your organization. So that alignment is very necessary. Then only these goals would be meaningful in terms of being taking traction from the organization. So then you need to break these objectives into measurable components, because these objectives are still at a very large level, at a big level, high level. So you need to convert each strategic objective into specific measurable targets. For example, if the objective is to increase revenue, a specific target could be a 15% or 20% increase in annual sales. Then you determine the key critical success factors for each objective, and they could be more, as you see here. And these are the elements that must be achieved for your objective to be successful. So that's how you break your objectives into measurable components of the key critical success factors. Having done that, you are ready to select the relevant KPIs. So you ensure your KPIs are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, SMART for short. Then you use a balanced scorecard approach to select the KPIs across different categories like financials, customer, internal processes, learning, and growth. And in this process, you engage with the key stakeholders to get their inputs on which KPIs are most relevant, meaningful for tracking the progress. So that's how you select the relevant KPIs. Then the time is ripe After that, to prioritize this KPI, and you prioritize these KPIs based on their direct impact on achieving objective, the strategic objectives as you see here in the first column. Then you look at the feasibility of measuring these KPIs, including availability of data and resources required for tracking. And based on these two, you determine an overall priority of these KPIs. Then you set benchmarks and targets for each KPI using historical data. Also, you can compare with industry standards and best practices to ensure that your targets are competitive. Because unless they are competitive, there won't be any use to you. If you take very loose targets, you will easily achieve them, and that won't result in any gain for the business as such. Finally, you get to the review and adjustment stage where you regularly review KPI performance and adjust targets as necessary to reflect changes in business environment or strategic direction. And that gives you a regular review and adjustment process. So having looked at how to identify relevant KPIs, what do we do next? We will look at next two steps, or how to set up monitoring tools and regular reporting that we talked about in this also. So thank you so much for watching this first lecture on continuous improvements. I hope you're continuing to learn new things, continuing to enjoy. And I do look forward to see you again in this next lecture, in the next lecture. Please feel free to message me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer your question, and also download the PDF file to take a look at anything that is of specific interest to you.